and I again from Homeschool Hopscotch, and I have Lisa here today. And Lisa is going to share a pretty unique work from home opportunity that she does, and we're so excited to have this kick off our back to school week of working from home. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks. I'm thrilled to be here. So I really appreciate your inviting me to share what I'm doing. I run an online school, True North Homeschool Academy, and it was formerly Homeschool Works for You. It's been online for about 10 years. And unfortunately, the prior owner, Wanda Burdick, died very suddenly last summer. And a mutual friend had put me in touch with her husband. And we contacted Jeff Burdick and talked to him. And it just was a perfect segue between what I had been doing. I had been working at home already for about 5 years, and I was ready for something different. And it worked out great for us to acquire this school from Jeff, and he's going to keep teaching for us. So the school was a 7th through 12th grade school before, and we've expanded some of our services. So we're still offering fantastic live online classes for 7th through 12th graders. Super excited about our teachers. They come from all over the United States and Israel, and they're all professionals in their field, and they all have years of teaching experience. So it's, and all of them but two have homeschooled or were homeschooled or are homeschooling. So they not only have the passion for the curriculum and the subject area that they're teaching in, they have real world experience vocationally in that field, and they love homeschooling.
Awesome.
So it's a perfect combination, because a lot of online schools right now are marketing to the homeschool world because it's $1 billion business. It's big business, and people are recognizing that homeschoolers want quality, but they don't really maybe get the homeschool market. And so some of these homeschool companies, they're teachers, former teachers, and that's fantastic. I have a lot of respect for teachers that are professionals, but they don't really get the homeschool world, and we do. We're homeschoolers at heart, and we get creative thinking and out of the box thinking, and we really want to work with homeschoolers to create the best educational environment that we can, coming alongside them and what they're doing. And we also offer pre-recorded career and career exploration and elective classes, really high quality podcasts, unit study type career exploration classes like forensic science and 3D imaging and culinary arts, really unique kind of things that we're bringing to the homeschool world. Academic advising, and we have a fantastic struggling learners program for K through 12. Really excited about that. We've expanded that part of the program and are working with Kimberly Vogel in a group that she's put together from the Teaching and Learning Center in Texas.
And we've also interviewed Kimberly. So Kimberly is another one of our videos, and we'll link to her for anyone that's curious about that.
Yeah, really excited. So we have some really exciting things going on. We have a Facebook group that's really active, doing freebies, ebooks, and doing a lot of interviewing ourselves and guest posting from people around the homeschool world on our blog, and a lot of neat things going on.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about the job side of it. So you talked a little bit about how you got started. You basically acquired a business.
Yes.
So I think it's important to note that, you are obviously running an online school. Perhaps a viewer may not want to run an online school, but finding a school that you could teach for, or starting your own maybe online small group co-op or something. So,
right.
The purpose of these interviews is to give people watching ideas, something that you can do from home.
Yeah.
So
yes.
How long have you officially been doing this?
Well, it's kind of an interesting question. I 10 years ago, I started a blog, and it's this little humble homeschool mommy blog. I really had no clue about SEO or marketing or anything. I started on Blogger. Actually, that original blog is still on Blogger for a little while at least, and I'm going to transfer it and own it finally. But just really felt impressed to start a blog. It was the beginning of the blogging world. And so I didn't even know how to set one up. I had to have one of my older kids set it up for me, and really had a lot of fun with it. I'd scrapbooked for years, and so I kind of it was my online scrapbook. And through that, really found an amazing network of people around the world and became friends with people around the world, other bloggers, other readers, other homeschoolers. And I started doing reviews. I just started reviewing curriculum because I wanted to share curriculum that I loved. And so I started doing that. And then I found out that, hey, you can get free curriculum by doing a good review. And I will say doing a good review is not super fast. It's not super easy. Because if you're trying to do a quality review, you really need to use the material and write well. And so anyway, I love writing, and I love, I have this gift of criticism, I say, which it was a way to use that ability to really understand and see details and holes and flaws and the really great stuff about something and put it together in a blog post and a curriculum review. So I worked with the TOS review crew, Old Schoolhouse, and did reviews with the TOS group, which is a phenomenal group of reviewers. And I did a lot of reviews on my own. And actually, out of those reviews, I always looked at the companies and really tried to get in deep about what they were doing and who they were. And I applied for a couple jobs through that. And I got a job online working for an online school, actually, not as a teacher, but in more an administrative role. I hadn't worked outside the home for like 20 years. I'd done a ton of volunteer work, but I hadn't really had a paid full-time professional position since forever ago. And so I had to get really creative with my resume, and I started pulling all the stuff I'd done volunteer-wise. Like I had brought Teen Pack to our state, and I'd started co-ops, and I'd done a lot of writing and teaching for homeschool, the homeschool community, and really had to get creative about putting that into a resume. But I did get this job, and I worked for this company for 4 years until Homeschool Works for You came up. And really through working with this other company is why I felt really confident about being able to run a school, because I have done a lot of administration type of stuff just in volunteer roles, and I love event planning. And so just for fun, I would plan events for people and stuff. You know, you have to use what your natural giftings are, but it's amazing how when you do that, opportunities do come your way, and also be looking for them, because there's a lot of really unique opportunities available now, especially with like Zoom, which we're on. I mean, it's pretty inexpensive to do some of this stuff, and it's not totally inexpensive. I mean, you do need some capital or some way to leverage what you have, you know,
Right.
which is basically what I did, because I hadn't worked from home for a long time. So I leveraged the reviews and got a job, and here we are.
So here you've been in the digital working space for about 10 years?
Yeah, and it cracks me up because, as you know, right before this, I had to ask my son to come fix my camera
So I
because
think that's a really good point. Like, you don't have to be an expert in all things to I think to your point, find what you're good at.
Yes.
And find a way. So you mentioned creative resume-ing, which
Yes.
I obviously am aware that it's not a word, but creatively writing a resume. And that's actually one of our topics coming up. So if you're watching and you're thinking, I haven't worked in forever, I don't know what to use, we have a guide coming up to talk about creatively use your resume. People
Fantastic.
want homeschool moms. People recognize the value in that. So don't sell yourself short.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a typical day look like for you kind of running the school?
Well, I usually get up before. I still have 2 kids at home. Only one of them I'm still homeschooling. I've graduated 4 kids from homeschool so far. So, and that's been a blast. I'm kind of like I need more kids kind of moment. But my husband and I get up a little bit earlier than our kids, and I come down and start doing emails and do social media stuff. And then throughout the day, I check my emails, and then a lot of what I do throughout the day is emailing and writing. I do a lot of writing still. I do a lot of guest posting and blogging and emailing, and a lot of communication is really what I'm doing throughout the day. And really marketing right now is my big push, just to get the word out, because a lot of people knew us as our former name, and so we're just telling people that we're still online, our name is different, and we have all these great programs and services. So I'm learning a lot as I go, because I'm kind of an intuitive marketer. Malcolm Gladwell has a couple fantastic books out. Wag the Dog is one, and the other one is, he's the 10,000 Hour Guru, and he classifies people in sort of, categories. And I'm a connector naturally. I love to connect people with books and programs and other people they need to know, and it's just kind of what I do. I love doing it, and so but that being said, the digital world is a whole universe, as you know, like just learning SEO and more WordPress kind of stuff. There's always more to learn. So I try to get some reading in every day, which doesn't always work. And I try to get from behind the computer, because as you know, when you work at home, one of the problems with working at home is that you're always at work, because it's always there with you.
Yeah, it's either on your computer or on your phone, right?
Exactly.
No matter where you are.
I know. So I'm really trying to, like, when school officially starts, I'm going to be teaching a couple classes, and I'm really going to set more strict work hours, because this summer has been just like pretty much, I've been working 12 to 15 hours a day, really like communicating with people and getting the program, getting the website, tweak, all those kind of things, and marketing. So
I think that's a really good point. People need to recognize that people think, oh, I'll work online, it'll be super easy. And the reality is, if you're starting your own business, working online is a very big time commitment. I mean, us starting a blog has been a very big time commitment. Especially up front, there's a lot that goes into it. And another point that you made that I want to emphasize is you don't have to know everything. So I come from a process engineering world where it's called just in time, JIT. And that doesn't mean you have to know every single thing before you start. You learn about SEO on the way. You learn about connecting on the way. And so if you're watching this and you're thinking, I want to start something, but I know nothing, learn some things, start, and learn some more.
Exactly. And I do want to say a lot, like, the blogging world has really changed since I started a decade ago. I mean, I actually have friends that I started blogging with that are making well over 6 figures. I mean, they're blogging, right? Yeah. So it's not just little mommy bloggers. They really have a lot going on. But I would say every blog post I do takes probably 4 to 6 hours. Yes. And the writing is almost the easiest part. And keeping the creativity flowing, that can get challenging after a while too. I told a friend of mine last week, I'm so sick of words. I could just almost
stale.
Yeah, and I'm a writer. I love words. I love reading them, writing them, playing with them. But then you have to come up with a title and an SEO and a pinnable pin and all the things, and then get the word out that you have this phenomenal blog post. So it does take quite a bit of time, and just learning how to manage all of that, because that's a half a day of work right there for one blog post. And if you're blogging more than once a week, it's a lot. And even the guest posts that we have coming in, which have been phenomenal. I mean, our guest posting has been so impressive, the stuff that we have on our blog site right now. I'm really thrilled with it. But even that is like,
it still takes time.
Takes time. So
yes.
All those things take time.
Those are all really good points. So a typical day changes.
Yes.
Typical hours per week changes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes the ability to be flexible, I think you would agree, is a benefit. So
yes, I do love that part. Yeah. Because most of us are still at home with our kids, and we still have to feed people, and people need clean laundry. But the other thing too, I would say, I've seen a lot of stuff on homeschool forums lately of how do you teach your kids life skills? Well, I basically homeschooled for 20 years, and I did not work outside the home. I did a ton of volunteer work, but we had 5 kids at home, and it was busy. I mean, it was really hard to keep laundry going and stuff like that. But and I've graduated kids, so it's not like I've had 5 kids the whole time. But I would say my going to work has taught my kids phenomenal life skills, because if we have to sit down and schedule every week, and they have planners just like I do. My kids are really different in how they manage and organize, so their planners are really different. My son has like more of a bullet journal kind of planner, and my daughter has more of a Franklin Covey kind of planner, because their personalities are really different. But having those planners every week, we plan together, and then they do an awful lot of the housework. And it's not like they're like abused or anything, but any of them could go run a house and feed an army of people at any minute. They just have fantastic life skills from my working. while we
Awesome.
homeschool.
Yes.
And we've done some really serious academics too.
So
Yeah.
a side benefit, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then would you consider, do you have a specific set of training that's kind of lended yourself well to running this school, or just life experience?
Well, a lot of what we're doing in this school is really understanding what does high school look like. And I'm an old time homeschooler. I mean, when I first started homeschooling, there weren't a lot of curriculums on the market. Um, Sunlight, it was its second year in production, and
That's so
actually,
crazy to me as like a
I
relatively newer homeschooler.
right. So Becky Lewis, who's one of the co-authors, she was in our Sunday school in California, but it was a brand new thing.
How funny.
And so, remind me of your question again.
No, you're fine. So like what life experience would you consider that what's helped you?
Sure. Oh, yeah. So basically, I have done a lot of administrative kind of stuff, and I've really enjoyed it. It's kind of one thing I like to do is put stuff together and manage it. But I do have a background in high school guidance counseling. It's not my degree necessarily, but that was part of my job at this other online school, is really being an academic advisor for homeschoolers all over the world. But I would say, I remember,
go ahead.
I really cut my teeth on John Holt, and I read all of his books about unschooling, and a lot of people use unschooling now in kind of a more informal way than it was originally intended. It's almost an excuse for not doing anything with your kids. But when John Holt wrote, it was before the digital age. You didn't have hours of electronics to be on and stuff like that. He was very intentional about what he did and what he encouraged people to do with their kids. And I'm really an old timer as far as homeschooling goes. I really believe that homeschoolers, we just have so much freedom and ability to be creative with what we do with our kids. But a lot of my job has to do with understanding what is high school about and how to get your kids to the next step. So are they going to go to college? Are they going to go to the military? Are they going to do a little bit of both? Are they going to start their own business? Are they going to take a gap year? And what does that mean? Are they going to get married? But really helping them launch successfully. So with that, it's a combination of what do those next places look for on a transcript for your homeschool kid? What do test scores mean, and are they that important? And also how to help homeschoolers credit their lives, because a lot of us as homeschoolers do a lot of stuff that is not traditional because we have time. Right. But we don't know how to put it on a transcript. So that's one of the things I'm really good at, is helping people go, oh, wow, you've done like 4 years of this. Did you know that that's like 4 credits of that?
So
wow.
That's a really good point. And so that's why that was kind of the purpose of that question, was that maybe you're a mom sitting at home and you think, my bachelor's degree is in something I really don't love. And I don't know how to translate that into an online job. The point being, find what you have experience in, find what you have a desire in, find what you can learn more about independently, and then find a way to get paid for it. Because the truth is, you can get paid for most things online.
And that is a fantastic point, because this last year I have spent hours taking free classes online. There is so much good stuff free online, and you can find it through Pinterest or Facebook, Google searches, whatever you do. But a lot of online companies give freebie classes as an incentive for you to buy their more expensive items, right? And so I've taken tons of classes on email marketing and SEOing and stuff like that. I mean, if this doesn't work out, which it will, but if it didn't, I have all this breadth of experience at this point that I could segue into a different online thing. Like, I don't ever feel like at this point, even though I have discovered ageism is a thing when you go to apply for jobs. So really, some of us that have homeschooled for a long time and are getting older, there's almost this panic of like, will I get hired? But if you can just keep learning, there's always a job for you. And there's so many great ways to be an independent contractor now. In fact, a lot of companies want to go that way because they don't have to pay a lot of the
overhead
benefits and stuff like that. Right, the overhead. So keep learning.
Much.
Yeah.
So then how are you marketing yourself? How are you marketing everything?
how are we marketing everything? Well, the blog is a big part, and like I said, I've been a blogger for a long time, so I kind of get that aspect of it. I have hired marketers, and that's actually, I will say, being an online business owner, it has its own set of challenges because everybody is so remote.
Yes.
That's a great benefit. I mean, I've loved working remotely. I have a beautiful old 1924 home. I get to work in it. I'm with my kids all the time. But hiring people remotely is challenging because you don't see them. You don't walk into an office with them. And so we've had some challenges with that too. Do people do what they say they're going to do? And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But how we're marketing ourselves is a lot of organic marketing through Pinterest and SEO kind of stuff. We got some great programs for our website, and just really, I feel like the homeschool community is a very organic community. We all kind of know somebody who knows somebody, right? I mean, it's kind of like, I've known people that have blogged for years, and so because of that, I have these relationships with people, and I'm kind of utilizing those relationships to get the word out more.
So
And
relational marketing is kind of, would you say?
yeah, I would. Yeah. And we've done promotions and prizes and
Right.
giveaways and stuff like that. There's a lot of really neat back to school programs going on right now. We just participated in a really big one. We doubled our email list by doing that promo. And I wrote an ebook on credits, transcripts, and high school testing, and it was really successful, and our email list just exploded. So
So
yeah.
again, focus on what you know and love and
Right.
turn it into a business.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Right.
marketing something, finding something that there's a need for, marketing translates organically. Like it happens organically. I mean, us running this series has exploded our readership simply because there's a huge need for moms to learn how to work from home. Be
Yes.
creative, think about something you know and something you can share.
And I would say too, what are you looking for that you can't find? Start
Yes,
there.
that's a great
Because
point.
it really, I mean, I've paid a lot of money for tutoring for upper level math for my kids. Wow, we're offering classes in upper level math for $10 a session. That's like pennies on the dollar compared to tutoring, but it's because we needed it. So what do you need in your life, and what are you not finding?
Yes.
Or you're not finding it that's affordable to you, or you're not finding it with people that are like part of your tribe, because sometimes the product is out there or the service is out there, but it doesn't speak to who you are. So just revamp it. I mean, you don't have to come up with everything new. You just have to come up with something that speaks to enough people, and don't be afraid to be a niche. I mean,
Yes, I
really,
agree.
yeah, you don't have to appeal to everybody. In fact,
Just
you're
because
not
you're the
going to.
only one in your town looking for that does not mean there's not hundreds of thousands of other
Right.
people worldwide looking for it as well.
Exactly, right. And we're not limited by where we live anymore. I mean, I live in one of the least populated states in in the country, and we have a reach all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
because of friends of ours, we have professors in Israel that, and in Texas and stuff like that. So really, it's a big market right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So then for starting a school, and you don't have to share exactly, but upfront costs,
Hmm.
obviously you went a different route in that you were able to buy one already in existence. But in terms of
Yeah.
back end technical
Mhm.
are we
Right.
looking
Well,
at thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to start up something like this?
yep. It's actually not that much. There is upfront costs, and we did actually totally redo the website and everything. Our big cost really was finding a really reliable, really good tech person to help with the website, and that was actually a little bit of a challenge, more than I thought it would be. We ran into some snafus, and I would say for anybody starting a business online or working for somebody else, don't expect it to be easy sailing, because there's always going to be stuff that goes wrong, and you just have to be clear about why you're doing what you're doing, and don't give up, because it's so easy to get discouraged when things go wrong. But we did find a really fantastic web person and an IT guy, and so our website is just getting better by the day. And really, that was probably our biggest expense right off the bat, was getting a really nice website, and that was several $1,000s.
Yeah.
And then there's all these costs that people don't realize. Like I've had several teachers go, well, if you pay me this and you're charging this for the class, wow, you're making like tens of thousands. It's like, no, you have to pay for the licensing fees, and there are quite a bit of licensing fees that are not, you don't see them up front.
Right.
So that's been another cost, but yeah, it hasn't been tens of thousands of dollars. It could be.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted it to be, and I do know there's a couple online schools, and they started out big. And the other thing too, if you want to get accredited, that's several $1,000s up front. And I've really gone back and forth about the accreditation thing. I mean, some people really value that because their kids are going to go back into public school, and you need it for that if you want your credits to count. On the other hand, in many ways, accreditation is simply marketing. So I'm not sure I want to put my marketing dollars towards that right now. So you have those kind of decisions to make too. You can make it cheaper or more expensive. It depends on what your goals are.
So then cost then leads to income potential. So would you consider the income potential for this to be worthwhile for you? Obviously you do, since you're continuing it. But
yeah, absolutely.
For the record.
And I do. And I don't know that it's not a get quick rich scheme.
No.
It's not going to be that. But I love teaching. I love the homeschool community. I love alternative education because we have so much freedom to do a couple things for our kids that traditional government schools can't do. We allow our kids to have freedom. We allow them to be vocationally trained at the same time to be have private academic education. I mean, I'm old enough where my husband and I got humanities types degrees, and that really meant something. Now you get a humanities degree, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. But
Sure.
Back then it meant that you knew how to read and write and spell and do math and all the things. And I feel like we can offer that to our kids right now. So yeah, I think and plus, I hope I'm providing jobs for other people.
That's a really good point.
Other homeschoolers. I mean, it's a service not only to the students that we serve, but to the people that are working with us in conjunction with us. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah. So that being said, if you're looking to pay your rent next month, starting an online school is not going to be what gets you there.
It really is not. No.
No, but I mean, that's important to note. But if you're looking for a long-term transition into a long-term career choice, maybe starting an online school is. And on the flip side, maybe starting a school is not in your best interest, but teaching for a school could be.
Exactly.
That being said, there's some other interviews coming up in this back to school series about ladies who teach for online schools. Right. And so
good.
It's important to note that there, are two big parts of this.
Right. And I have seen a lot of people are going just out on their own and doing coaching, homeschool coaching on their own and those kind of things. And like I would just encourage people, no matter what, whatever you do when you're buying a service or good, interview the person because everybody comes with their own set of background and experience and stuff like that. And so just because you see like online coaching or online academic advising, it doesn't mean that you're going to get maybe what you assume you're going to get. I mean, we just got back from a 10-day trip and I had some assumptions I didn't realize I had, like all of us do. Mm-hmm. And I would just encourage people, and if you're going to teach for an online school, really find out what are their values, because there's Christian homeschools, there's secular homeschools, there's quasi this and that homeschools, and online too. And so just what are going to be aligned with your values and what are you going to feel good about teaching?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, and I think, to your point, either find a school or something that matches your values and then investigate their quality, if you will, or just be prepared that if you're going outside of an organized type grouping of providers, that you may have to do a little more research into the person that you're using.
Right, exactly. And the owners really do set the vision and tone of the school as well.
So then are your employees, how do you, I think it's a good segue into how do you guarantee quality within your work? Within
our workforce? Well, most of our teachers, I knew some of them myself. Some of them came from the Homeschool Works for You program, and they'd already been vetted by Jeff and Wanda Burdick, who, when we met Jeff, it was like instant connection. There are people, we get them. And so everybody that came with them it was an automatic in. And then people that I knew personally, I asked certain people personally, but then we did have referrals from friends of ours. And that's how we ended up with the rabbi from Israel, Rabbi Arthur Fisher, who's going to teach. He's a professional actor in Israel. He's taught biblical Hebrew for years. Super excited about him. I never would have found him if it hadn't been for a mutual friend of ours who travels back and forth from Israel to the States. And then I have hired people because I did a promo on one of the bigger homeschool boards, and I did get several people inquiring about teaching for us from there. And I did hire one from there. And then another teacher was in a group that I was a part of, and I just said, I'm looking for people, because this group was like teachers from another program, and so I knew that they had teaching experience, and I'm super excited about her. She comes with a whole lot of skills, so not just teaching. So
Yeah.
it's been a bunch of different stuff. But
so your teachers have varied backgrounds, but you obviously confirm or affirm their quality based on your alignment with what you're doing in your school.
Yeah, because once I get a name, then we talk, and it's been either by phone or by Zoom. Because for one, how do people present online? Online teaching is really different than in-class teaching, because you don't have that immediate feedback from your students, where if you're in front of them, you have immediate feedback, what's going on with the class. And my kids have taken enough online classes. I've taught online, my husband's taught online, is that it's really easy to be playing solitaire over on the sidelines, right? So how do you keep the kids engaged? And that's part of what I'm looking for too. And then their background. I'm not looking for people who necessarily have a teaching degree, and some online programs are, because of the accreditation. That's the other thing that accreditation would change for us, is that I would prefer to have people who are really experts in their field and have experience teaching, because you can be an expert and not a good teacher. You can be a great teacher and not have the experience. So I'm looking for both of those. And I'm also uniquely looking for people who are homeschoolers or have been homeschooled. That's really important to me, because it's a different world. And some of our teachers are professional teachers too. So yeah.
So to that point, if you do decide to either apply for an existing school or start your own school, get an understanding of what it is you're either looking for or what it is you would feel you could align yourself with.
Exactly. Right.
Make sure you either create the culture you're desiring, or you meet the culture that's already in existence.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I was ready to move away from my other job. And this was the perfect timing in my life, was because everybody that worked for this program that markets to homeschoolers, I was one of the only homeschoolers on staff. And the culture reflected it. In some ways they were working to help homeschoolers get in line, and it was a little bit of a stress. It was a stress for me. I was always kind of feeling like maybe I needed to apologize for being a homeschooler or whatever, but it wasn't a perfect fit. So it was a great job for what it was.
Right, exactly. And to that point as well, sometimes you work in something that's not your perfect fit until you find your perfect fit.
Exactly.
And that's
a lot of times.
Yeah, true. Very few things in life are perfect fits.
Right. Exactly.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. This was so informative on many levels. But I think I want to just emphasize that the key takeaway is use your gifts and find someone that'll pay you for it, because it probably exists.
Yes.
Or create your own.
Right. And don't be afraid to keep learning. I mean, keep reading, keep asking questions. And there are so many resources. In fact, I'm on several Facebook groups of people who are very willing to teach you and train you. And you can ask questions like, how do I find this? What do I do for that? How about this? People are more than happy to help. It's really a neat, unique time in the world for that.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa.
Yes.
If you're watching, just know that everything Lisa talked about, there will be links for. If you're thinking, wow, this school sounds amazing, I can't wait to get my kids signed up, do it.
Do it. My
personal relationship with Lisa tells me that everything she touches is greatness. And so I'm super excited to see the launch of this school. And so I know that the quality that's there is going to be top notch. And so if that is something you're looking for, again, the link is down below, and everything else that she talked about, we will also link to her blog and those kinds of things so you can check it out. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming, Lisa. This has been super informative.
It's been a great pleasure. Thanks.
Good. I'm so glad. All right. Bye, everyone.